It's our sacred as well as scientific duty to study this creature with complete dedication and search out the truth. Nothing will prevent that.
Poppycock. Insane nonsense.
You would exterminate anything you didn't like or understand. What gives you the authority to sentence a living creature to death? What?
In the book of Genesis, it says very clearly, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. This is a monster. It must be destroyed.
You've conveniently forgotten Deuteronomy, the second commandment. Thou shalt not kill. TROG!
Though not her last appearance before the screen, TROG was the last film starring Hollywood icon Joan Crawford. TROG also starred Michael Goff and Bernard Kay. Joan Crawford plays an anthropologist named Dr. Brockton that believes she has discovered the missing link. Producer Herman Cohen purchased the original story written by Peter Bryan and John Gilling in 1968. Joan's character was originally played by a man, however, producer Cohen decided to change it to a woman. They had previously worked together on Berserk, and he was eager to work with Joan again. TROG started production in June of 1969, with post-production finishing in February of 1970. Many of Joan Crawford's biographies and even the series Feud insinuate the budget for TROG was so low that she had to huddle in a car parked on the moors or changed in a bathroom stall. Though in 1994, producer Cohen gave an interview stating that this was, quote, untrue. She had a huge caravan, and I have reason to remember that well. We were out on location and it was quite chilly out, and I was told by my assistant that Joan was deathly ill in her caravan. I had my car take me there immediately. I went in and to see her and she was saying, oh, Herm, oh, get me a doctor, I can't work. I told her that I'd do it, and I turned to run out. Oh, these caravans. The door is low, and I ran and smashed my head against the top of the door frame. Knocked myself for a loop. Joan jumped up and yelled, oh, Herman, darling, come here, lie down. The professional wrestler who also played TROG said during a screening that Joan Crawford took all of their addresses and kept sending them Christmas cards right till she passed in 1977. He said that Joan Crawford bought all to the production and also loads of free Pepsi. Producer Herman Cohen also said that, quote, Crawford also had me come to New York and pick out her own wardrobe, what she should wear in these pictures. Because she owned a big piece of both pictures, she didn't want us to spend any extra money on the wardrobe. During production, his three sisters also visited, and he said Crawford treated them just as her own, that she was always a movie star. Once finished, he screened the movie to Warner Bros. Executives in July of 1970. The movie was released in some U.S. cities in September, with it being released nationally as a double feature with the film Taste of the Blood of Dracula a few days later. TROG was then released in November 1970 in the UK. TROG was also re-released for home viewing on VHS in 1995 and DVD in 2007. TROG was released on Blu-ray in December of 2021. In a 1994 interview, producer Cohen said, quote, it was very successful. Both Berserk and TROG came in under budget, on schedule, and again I say that Joan Crawford was very professional. When I hear stories today of Kim and some of the other young stars, I say, thank God for people like Joan Crawford and Bette Davis, all the old pros, end quote. It was true. In its first week of release, TROG was the #1 top-grossing film in the United States. Though many 1970 reviews of the film were not favorable. The New York Times said, quote, there is, however, a hereditary virtue in TROG, and that it proves that Joan Crawford is grimly working at her craft. Unfortunately, the determined lady, who is fetching in a variety of chic pantsuits and dresses, has little else going for her. Joan Crawford also was not pleased with the way the movie was received, saying in a Washington interview,
well, you know, the picture itself got mediocre reviews, and it was double billed with a big horror picture, Dracula Strikes Back or Dracula's Blood or something. And unfortunately, everyone thought TROG was a horror film. It was my first science fiction, and I took it because I'd never done a science fiction story before, and I loved doing it. and I was just sick about the reviews and the way it was just kind of shuffled off, but I'm still glad I made it. It was fun, it was an experience, and I learned a great deal.
You did that picture in Britain, I believe.
Yes. It was
Do you
my
like-
third.
In Britain. Do you like doing films overseas when the locale calls for it?
Yes. The hours were just horrendous on TROG because contractually, when they sign you for a location picture, they can work you. You get up at 3:45 in the morning, they can work you until the light goes, which is 8 o'clock at night. And then you have a 2-hour drive home, and it's a pretty long day. But the regular pictures done in the studios over there are a delight.
Since its original release in 1970, TROG has become a camp classic and adored by many. Whether it's for Joan Crawford's performance, her fashion, or the movie camp elements, there's no denying that Joan Crawford always gave her best, no matter the quality of the script.